Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of In Between the Stitches. As always, I am your host, Brady Wilson, with my co-host, Chase Olschwinger.
How's it going?
The injured Chase Olschwinger, because little update, and I don't know why I'm doing this, but I think it's just kind of fun. You know, we're playing intramural basketball for our fraternity. I'm the Ben Wallace of the team. Chase is the Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, everything. None of us can score.
Don't worry, I'm okay.
But yours truly did get 2 points in Tuesday's game. I had a couple blocks. I had 6 or 7 rebounds. So I
doing the dirty work.
I was playing what I can do. I was playing good defense. I was rebounding. I was angering some of the opponents because, well, I play a little more physical than I guess you'd like for intramural basketball. But enough about our 0-2 intramural season, where Chase is averaging about 50, I think.
Don't worry, I'm okay.
He's fine. He just tweaked his knee, But it is fun to talk about our own personal sports highlights because we don't get many more.
Yeah,
now
right before
forward.
we get into what's going on in the real sports world.
In the real sports world, though, you've got some stuff, as always. Now, I want to preface by saying this week is always like the worst week of sports for me because you've got the 2 worst days of the entire calendar. Because they're the only 2 days in the calendar. And I know there were a few teams that did report I think on Sunday or on Monday, but I think the official day for the MLB is Wednesday. So I don't count the other teams I count the official first day. And so Monday and Tuesday, the Monday and Tuesday after the Super Bowl, it's always 2 days, is the only 2 days of the entire year where baseball is still in the off season technically. And football is now in the off season, so it is the worst day in the calendar for me. Thankfully, you've got basketball to keep you going, but I don't know how much more basketball we want to watch. But the Stars right now, the NHL is in their extended All-Star break because of the Four Nations face-off. If you don't know what that is, essentially you've got America, Canada, Finland, and Sweden all putting together national teams and facing off. It says it right there in the name. But the Stars, heading into this break, have had a really, really good season so far. 35, 18, and 2. So they've played 55 games, so we've got, not a ton more to go. They are currently second in the Central, just behind the Winnipeg Jets. They are they're 9 points behind the Jets. They are second in the Western Conference. So we are the best team in the conference except for the only team in our division.
Right.
So I feel pretty happy about that. Winnipeg has won 8 straight. They're just on a tear. Right now, though, we are third in the league in the entire NHL in terms of points. We're tied with Edmonton and Vegas. But the only team from the East that's ahead of us is Washington, with Ovechkin chasing Gretzky's all-time, goal record. But that's where the Stars stand heading into the All-Star break. I don't know. I don't think the trade deadline has passed for hockey. So I think that, if they decide to add, something, as we know, Jim Nill is no stranger to doing that. Granlund's had a few assists. I think CeCe's been playing pretty well. Been able to watch a few more games, Thankfully, Victory Plus has picture-in-picture on the phone, so I can, work and be watching the game. They had a scoring bonanza against, was it San
Sharks,
Jose?
I think, yeah.
They won 8-3. It was a baseball score. Because then the night before, they had lost a shootout to the Ducks. So it was just, there's some... Well, no, it wasn't the Ducks. Who was it? Well, it was Anaheim, right?
No, they lost Anaheim
Kings.
2-0, but Kings was the shootout
Kings was
loss.
the shootout loss. So... Not a great road trip to California, but you salvaged it with an 8-3 scoring bonanza, which was, I think I turned it off when it was 4-1.
Yeah.
And then we and you were bowling, and you're like, oh my God, look, it's an 8-3. But hopefully we can keep this going.
Yeah, granted, all the injuries that they've had, to some key players as well. You know, Heiskin obviously out for a minute, Hintz missed some time, but with all the injuries and, some negative aspects of the game, they're fighting and they're playing well.
Playing very well.
Yeah, they're playing very well, and they're putting themselves up for for contention once again.
Bork has been coming on late. He's kind of, I think, starting to figure it out. I think Stankoven and Johnson are still. I think the buzz has died down a little bit, but they're still going to be so good.
Yeah.
It has been a good start of the season. I think the only thing that me and you have talked about them potentially adding is a backup goalie, not a real goalie because we have Ottinger, but a backup goalie because DeSmith has been.
He's been inconsistent. You see some games where he's solid. He has Stars win 5-4, and he allows 4, but fortunately the Stars offense kind of keeps him in the game. But then there's also games where he just doesn't give the Stars a chance because it's 4-0 in the second period, and so he's just a little inconsistent. And I could see Nil going after someone that's just. The days that Ottinger doesn't play and the days that Ottinger gets his rest because he's going to need it. I think he might go out and just try to get someone just a little more consistent in goal. Not that DeSmith is terrible. I just think just for the Stars' sake, get somebody that
it could be a small upgrade.
Can get you. You're confident in winning a game with him in goal while Ottinger's out.
But now we're going to move to the American Airlines Center counterpart. Watched the first half of the game with you last night. Did not care to watch the second half just because I just don't care. I still love my team, but I don't know how to describe it. It's just not the same.
Yeah,
it's going to take at least probably a year for me to really adjust to Luka not being a Maverick.
It'll take a championship at least, but it'll still be I'll be happy. And at the end of the day, the job is to win championships, and if that's what they do, I'm happy. But no, again, listen, it's, we're going to preface this every single episode. I feel like, I'm always going to support Luka. I'm always keeping an eye on the Lakers.
Luka will be mentioned in probably most of our episodes going forward.
Yeah, I'm going to try to, give us a Mavs update, but also I'm going to update a little bit on Lakers because listen, at the end of the day, Luka's our guy. Luka's always going to be our guy. He's always going to love Dallas. He's always going to have a place in his heart for Dallas. And we're always going to have a place in our heart for him. So I feel like, it's the right thing just to update on what they're doing, what he's doing, and, we're rooting for him. But for the Mavs, for our team first, 29-26, great win last night versus a Golden State team who, just added Jimmy Butler at the deadline, got some, obviously they got Curry, got some good options to win some games. And the Mavs, without a center, because, we'll update you guys on that. Gafford gone, AD gone, PJ gone, Powell still out, Lively still out, Caleb Martin, who we acquired at the deadline for Grimes, still out. The team is fighting, and that's what you love to see, that the guys are still giving it 100% effort when there is no motivation, it feels like, especially with what's gone on in the last couple weeks. But the guys are fighting, they're playing well, they're staying in it, and, listen, I'm going to move on, I'm going to try to. When the team is healthy, they're contenders. And the goal for right now is to survive All-Star. They play a game again tonight versus the Heat. Would be awesome to go into All-Star break with a win, with back-to-back wins. But, this is a good time for the All-Star break, hopefully to get some players back. AD, I don't expect to be back when we come back from All-Star break, but hopefully he will be back, somewhat in the near future. But guys like PJ, Powell, maybe even Gafford, Martin, hopefully those guys will be back in a couple weeks when they return to action. And we'll see what the team can do. But and then jumping to the Lakers, 1-1 in the Luka era when he's been on the floor. And he's taken some time. I don't know if you've watched any games. I don't know if you care to watch games of him in another jersey.
No.
But I do, and I'm happy, and I'm supporting him, and I hope the Lakers do well if the Mavs don't. But, it's going to take some time for him. He's playing with two other ball-dominant players in LeBron James and Austin Reeves, and it's going to take some time because he's never been in that situation. Until they got Kyrie, he's been, the league leader minutes player, the league leader, production player. And, he's obviously the best player on the team, but listen, there's two other guys that are very ball-dominant, and it's going to take some time. He's been minute restricted to start, and he's having 16 points and 14 points, and it's just like, this isn't Luka numbers. 14, 4 and 4, 16, 4 and 4. It's like, what is this? Is this Luka? Not what we're used to seeing. But I think it'll take some time, and whenever the day LeBron retires, who knows? That's when I think the Luka era will start in Los Angeles. But obviously, I'm going to preface this every week. We're going to wish the best for him. We hope he does. We hope he wins. We hope he does well. And go Mavs and go Luka.
Yeah. I mean, it's Let's watch hockey. That's baseball's about to start. So baseball. My thoughts on Luka are just they're the same. They're not going to change.
I hope he's on. He's on the same path as LeBron.
I think
he started out 7 years in his career here, left, and then came back and won a championship for the team because he wanted to win a championship for that city so bad. So hopefully Luka comes back in 5-7 years.
Yeah, when Nico's fired because he made the worst move in basketball history.
Yeah, I mean, he won't come back. But that's the only way he'll ever come back is if Nico's out of the picture. So, and Dumont. I mean, the team's gonna have to. I mean, that I don't see likely, but. I mean, listen, the
brother can hope.
The whole organization is going to have to be gone for him to even consider coming back if he ever wants to.
Maybe Dan Gilbert will buy us.
Hopefully, I can buy them one day.
There you go. There you go. Chase has already said that if he buys the Mavs, he's bringing me on as in the personnel department.
Oh yeah, I'm bringing all my friends in.
Even though I'm not like the biggest basketball guy, he's still he'll put me. I'll be in charge of the analytics.
Yeah,
that's what. Or
have Seth in charge of the cap.
Yeah, have Seth in charge of the cap. Make him like the team attorney.
Yeah, my friends, friends and I, the GM, co-GM, and we're gonna run the team.
I love how all of us fans complain about how Jerry is the owner, is the GM, but if we were all in his position, we would all probably still be doing what he's doing. If I owned the Cowboys, I would want to be the GM.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
I think the frustration with Jerry is that you've been the GM for 30 years and clearly it hasn't worked.
Right.
Get somebody else in here.
Like, yeah. Drop the ego and
if I was the GM and you gave me a 10-year window and I win a Super Bowl, I'll step down.
I'm with you.
I'll hire a football guy. Anyway, moving to baseball for a second before we come back to football. Not much to talk about other than Bregman.
Yeah.
Was it 3 years, $120 million to Boston, which is a really weird fit.
Good for him.
We'll see how they want to fit with Devers and Story and.
They expect him to play second base.
Bregman?
Yeah.
I guess they look at Story as their DH.
Yes, I mean because of the injury history. I guess
your shortstop still. Like, I don't know. It's a really weird fit, but I guess Boston. Hey, you got to give Boston credit. They are trying to build something.
Yeah.
They've got what I would like to call a nice little team. They've got some power, right? Devers, Bregman, Duran. Help me out if I'm missing somebody. I know there's a couple guys that are on that team that I'm just missing, but they're gonna have some pitching. I really like Brian Bayo. Really like Brian Bayo.
Yeah. Did they lose Tyler O'Neill? They did, right?
I think they did.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is very unfortunate for them.
Yeah.
People are talking about them trading Yoshida. We'll see if he ever gets traded. Padres signed Nick Pivetta. I think it was 4 years, $55 million.
55, yep.
So hey, people saying the Padres aren't trying anything.
Underrated, quiet offseason.
You got to give them at least at the end. They realized, okay, we need to add somebody, and that rotation looks pretty. Pretty nice.
It really is unfortunate being in the West. It's like you're not going to win the division, so you just have to fight for the wild card.
Hey, tell that to the Giants in 2021. But I think they won like 108 games or some crazy crap.
But listen, they're not going to win the division, and you got to find a way to get in. And
what I feel bad about Padres fans is that they had an owner that was willing to take loans from different banks to try to build a team that could win, and then he dies.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Peter Seidler passed away, and then so now you have owners that are just caring about the bottom dollar right now, and they're trying any way they can to shed payroll, and it's very unfortunate. But the Rangers have officially broke camp. There was some, by the way, we are so back as a society. The big letters, they're back.
Yeah, jerseys just look so much better.
No more 11-point Arial font on the back of jerseys. We have got the correct jerseys, the ones that we all grew up with.
We got the 16-14 font Times New Roman now.
That's exactly what we got. We have got they look like a professional sports team's uniform.
And I told you yesterday, like even the ones last year, for us at least, didn't look terrible as compared to other teams. But it's still what they are now.
It looked bad. I'm happy about that. John Gray's grown his hair back out. This is what we're talking about on the show today. Is John Gray's hair?
Not much to talk about. Might as well.
DeGrom people are starting to he's stoned a little bit, and of course we already have our first injury. Robert Garcia dealing with a nerve issue that apparently he's dealt with before. So I think what'll tell you something is if in the next couple of days they sign somebody, okay, it's serious.
Yeah.
But cause they're literally looking at him as one of the guys that could come in and maybe potentially close. we'll see. D-Rob's still out there. Kenley's still out there. And those are the only two. I don't want Kimbrel. I would legitimately rather have what we have than try to strike than sign Craig Kimbrel. He's not worth it.
Yeah, I agree.
He's just not. You know what? I hope Houston signs him. Replace Ryan Presley. It'd be a great signing. We'll have the season outlook right before opening day, which will probably be an episode. Opening day is March 27th. We'll probably, because it's a Thursday and as we record on Thursdays, what we'll probably end up doing is an episode on that Tuesday.
Yeah.
And that's when we look at what I had. What I don't know if you wrote yours down. I think
I have my record predictions. Yeah.
So I have
it's not good. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, mine are terrible. I think I had us in the World Series. We'll go over what last year's were, the outlook for this year, and all that. But right now for baseball, it's just going to be some spring training updates, and that's about it. Now we're going to move to what everyone's been waiting for, the bulk of this episode, and that is football, the Super Bowl. It was not a great game if you are not like me or Chase or Seth and just love football because it's football, right? Because we enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah,
because it's football, and we were all with I don't want to call it a Super Bowl party. We had a big group over at the house, and we all had a really fun time. But the game itself was not that great. So let's kind of dive into it. The Chiefs were frauds. We had been saying this. I think I said it last week. I think the Chiefs are frauds, but I'm going to pick the Chiefs because you know what, Chase? I've figured it out. Why? For some reason, whenever I pick a team, they lose. So I'm just going to start picking every opponent against the Cowboys and everyone that I don't want to win. That way, you will absolutely crush me in our little game that we play. But we will win as a team. I got to sacrifice for the team. No, I just thought the Chiefs were going to sprinkle their black voodoo magic all over the Super Bowl, and it was just they were going to win. That didn't happen. Vic Fangio, I can't use the terms that I want to use because we keep it PG on here. He put belt to butt.
BTA, you say that.
Yeah, he put BTA on Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. And I think he really highlighted the blueprint that Todd Bowles laid out in the 2020 Super Bowl. And that is, don't blitz Mahomes. You blitz Mahomes, somebody's going to get open, and his release is so quick that he's going to find him, and he's going to get the ball there. If you can get pressure with 4 and drop 7, if you're dropping 7 to cover their 4, if your 7 can't cover 4 guys, you got to get a new 7. That's your own problem.
Yeah.
But when you're like the Eagles, you're in the Super Bowl, they got a great secondary. So we're just going to cover. And Mahomes, it increased as the game went on, right? What did Andy Reid do to make Mahomes look good? He did not look always that great at Texas Tech, right? He'd have a wow play, and then there's this thing about Mahomes, for every wow play, there's a head-scratching play. So how do you maximize what Mahomes does? Keep him in the pocket. Quick throws, right? You don't want him running around trying to play hero ball. Even though it's what he does, and he does it well most of the time, you don't want him doing it consistently. So Andy Reid was able to build a scheme built around getting the ball out quickly. That way Mahomes doesn't feel like the play's broken down and he wants to run. What Fangio did was he would take away the short stuff. He was playing a lot of underneath. A lot of underneath coverage, a lot of the cover 4, but where they weren't dropping as quickly. A lot of the cover 3 where they weren't dropping as quickly. They were running a lot of the cover, I don't know if they were running a lot of cover 2, but they were running some man. It was a coaching clinic for one, but it was, we're going to drop our 7, take away your underneath stuff that you love, right? Take away Kelsey, take away Worthy, and we're going to either force you to chuck the ball up down the field, put it into a tight window where you don't feel comfortable, or we're going to get you running around. And Mahomes does not have great pocket awareness. I don't think people realize this, and I think they've realized it now. The running around thing, it can work, but it can only work for so long. If linemen know you're going to do it and they're only rushing 4, and they're keeping contained. How many times did he step up into a sack?
Yeah, 7 times.
Or he would step up and then back up, and then there's the guy. He's got him.
Right.
And everyone says the line looks bad. And I'm like, well, Mahomes was creating a lot of those sacks.
Yeah, I mean, he was pressured entire game. Man.
He was pressured, but pressure is one thing. The guy pressuring you is one thing, but if you got a chance to get the ball out, get the ball out. Mahomes doesn't want to do that. He wants to get out, run around, backyard football. But if all 4 guys are collapsing the pocket, that's what Fangio was doing. Was, hey, it's not about winning your rep one-on-one. Collapse the pocket. That way, if Mahomes goes to move left, right, up, back, somebody is going to be there because the pocket has collapsed on him.
Right.
And that's what Fangio did so well. And then on offense, it was limit Jalen Hurts' bad plays. Have Saquon. I mean,
well, give the Chiefs some credit. They held Saquon.
I give Spagnuolo credit. He did what any defensive coordinator should have done, which is, we are going to make you beat us with Jalen Hurts. Saquon Barkley will not take over this football game. If I was the DC, I would have played it the exact same way Spags did. I know that sounds kind of arrogant to say I'm not that good. I'm saying that would have been my game plan. We're going to stop Saquon Barkley. If you can beat us with Jalen Hurts, hats off to you. Because if you're in the Super Bowl, it's hard to take away everything that a team does, right? Chiefs had a couple long passes because I think, and they had a couple stuff that like the Hopkins drop.
Right.
Eagles were giving up stuff down the field. They were taking away the underneath stuff that Mahomes likes to dump it off to and let them make a play. So even then, the Eagles weren't taking away everything the Chiefs could do. The Chiefs were able to take the top off the defense a couple times, but Mahomes wasn't able to do that consistently, which is why they didn't have success. Hurts was able to consistently have passing success, and the Chiefs just weren't able to stop it. You know, got to give them credit.
Yeah, listen,
Eagles
we don't like them, but props to the Eagles. Deserved. We're the best team, and they deserved it. I mean, there's no other way around it. They deserved this.
Yeah.
And, good for them.
Kellen Moore did take the job with the Saints, so now every single coaching vacancy has been filled. So that's cool.
Good for Kellen Moore.
Good for Kellen Moore. But now we get to move to the best time of the year, where baseball is ramping up, and it's NFL draft season.
Mock Draft 1.0.
I for a quick thing, and it is, if you go to my Twitter, it will there is the pinned tweet is a link to my draft guides, which when you get there is my big board, which is going to eventually be a top 500. I think right now I have a grand total of 403 players on there, and 25 of them have been graded. So we're 25, and people ask me, how many do you grade? I try to grade at least 200, or in that 180 to 200 range. The goal is always for me 200, and I can usually get to that 180 to 190 range. So we're a nice little chunk of the way there. But and this is actually probably the farthest I've been at this time of the month, or at this time of the season, because usually by the combine, I'm just now getting to my 25, 30th player. So I'm ahead of schedule, which is a good thing because school.
Yeah.
So far, I have 18 first-round grades, 6 second-round grades, and a third-round grade. And I'll go and give like a top 5. This is 1 through 5. It's Hunter, Genty, Carter, Graham, McMillan. Other notable players, I have a first-round grade on Amari and Hampton. I have a first-round grade on Cam Ward, and a third-round grade on Shedeur Sanders. So, but like Chase said, it is officially after the Super Bowl, so we get to do our first mock, because I don't like to do a mock before the Super Bowl. I don't understand people who do this. Let's do a mock draft before we actually know the draft order. I know it's just 2 picks, and I think my solution, if there was enough demand for me to do one before, I would have 2. One where it's the Chiefs and Eagles. It's, Chiefs Eagles are flipped, right? But now we know the full draft order. We can go into our mock draft. So we're going to give you all 32 picks. And again, there will be a link to my draft guides on my Twitter page. If you don't know what I look like and you're curious which Twitter page it is, I'm holding up the Rangers, the newspaper, we're champs. This is my profile picture. And let's get into it. So,
Let's do it.
Number 1 overall pick is Tennessee Titans. And Titans
Are on the clock.
have been on the clock for a while now.
Yeah.
And this is going to be something I talk about, so I'm going to preface this right now. In the draft process, there's a lot of stuff that comes out. This team likes this player. Hey, this team doesn't really like this player. Hey, there's a medical flag on this guy. And some of it can be smoke. Or smoke screens. Some of it's real. The truth lies somewhere in between usually. And the problem is the Titans' new GM, was it Rand Carthon?
I don't know the name.
Their new GM, I think it's somebody new. And then that may have been the guy they fired. Anyway, the point is, new GM comes in, press conference, what does he say? I'm taking generational talent. Don't write me in pen that I'm going quarterback. And the rumor is they're open for business. That, if you want to trade up to get your quarterback because you're afraid Cleveland or New York's going to take him, i.e. the most logical team to move up, there are 2. The Raiders at 6 and the Jets at 7 are the 2 most logical teams. And I want everyone to know, we're going to do 4 mock drafts, official ones. 1 right now, 1 the week after the Combine, 1 probably the last week of March, and then another one probably because
before the draft.
2 days before the draft.
Yeah.
So we'll have to do it on Tuesday again. So that things change within the mock. Trades happen. We could have a trade by the next mock draft, and this one just gets completely tossed out.
This one's literally just no trades, no information, just going strictly off of who we think will go where
and needs and what may happen in free
Right.
agency. But I don't ever mock trades. In any of my 4 drafts, I will say, like I just said, Titans, this pick could be traded, and I think there's a good possibility it is. However, I'm not going to mock it because
Right.
I'm not going to try to speculate that heavily. With the number 1 overall pick, I think they do go generational talent. That's not quarterback. If they stick and pick here, Travis Hunter, great player. And I'll, this is kind of my time where I get to talk a little bit more, and I'll probably try to slip more of my personal analysis of players into the podcast this season. I want to do more of that. I'd love to do my own draft show leading, where me and you come in for a separate podcast.
Sure.
We just don't have time. I love Hunter. Dude, coached by Deion Sanders, you're going to have technique when he does. He's got ball skills, obviously, receiver. He's going to have ball skills. I think they ran a lot more zone coverage, so I think, he's got the experience there. I think he can play man. He's long enough. He's tall enough. I think he's one of the best corners I've ever seen. And then you factor in that he could come in and play some receiver or at least return kicks. He's a really special player. He's my number 1 overall on the board.
No doubt, the best player in the draft. But, I do think the Titans, I think they go quarterback. I do think, they try to lock in that cornerstone piece, and I think they go Cam Ward.
The reason I want to say why I don't think they go quarterback, and I want to preface, Brian Callahan has been very vocal about his displeasure for how Will Levis has played. Ward and Shador, I'm not saying they're similar players. They're not polished products. And if Callahan wants polished, he's not going to get that in the first round this year.
Fair enough.
It's just not going to happen. So that's why I don't think I don't think he will like Cam Ward.
Yeah, also, at least for me, I get more professional with my mocks as the mocks go on. Like my first draft, my first mock is kind of like a biased draft, kind of like deep down, I don't think Genty gets to us, and I'll just go ahead and spoil my Cowboys pick right now. But during each time we do mock, it'll be more professional.
All right, I got the Browns. They take Cam Ward. I think they don't want to go. I think they don't want to sign a veteran because you've tried that. You've tried it with Watson and Winston. It just hasn't worked. I think they want to get back to a young quarterback, and I think Ward. I have a late first on him. I think he's a good player. There's a lot to like. His throws have good zip on them. He can layer. He He's kind of athletic. He's not as fast as some people think he is. He's not Lamar Jackson. Quit. That comp pisses me off. My comp form is Teddy Bridgewater. I think he could be a solid starting quarterback for you, but I just don't see him being he's not generational. But like we've said, and I'll keep saying, and I'll probably you people will get tired of me saying this. It doesn't matter because it's the quarterback. You can reach on a quarterback because if it works, nobody complains.
Right.
So
I get them, losing Myles Garrett, requesting a trade. I think they go right back to. I think they go Abdul Carter. They get that generational, pass rusher.
Yeah. Make sure to say pass rusher.
Right. I know.
Don't say generational
Defensive
edge
lineman.
player.
Right.
Because he is not that good.
Right. I know he
defender.
struggles with the run, but listen, you can get better there. But strictly from a pass rush, I think they go Abdul Carter.
In my mock, Carter's going to fall a little bit, and I'm going to explain why. Just because the board doesn't really fall good for an edge rusher. At 3, I've got the Giants. They go back. We got back-to-back QBs. They go Shedeur. Shedeur. Sorry, this is going to take a second. I promise to not make all my analysis of these players this long, but because Shedeur is such a polarizing player, there's a lot to like. He's kind of accurate, great touch on the throws, right? He can just drop it in the bucket. He can throw to all 3 levels. He actually looked like he was doing some pretty good pre-snap recognition, and he was knowing where to go with the football. But people trying to tell me that he's anywhere near a first-round talent, I have to question their ability to look at quarterbacks because he's just not. He's not that. At best, he's a second-round kind of guy. He's a second-round kind of guy. He does not have the kind of zip that a Cam Ward does, right? His throw is a little bit slower. He's not that fast. Quit saying he's fast. He's not. His pocket awareness is bad. It's bad. His feel for pressure and where he needs to move is not very good. And I think one of the reasons why he takes some sacks is his awareness of that is not good. Now we get into the part I really don't like about him. Number 1, you were in an offense that was running 10 personnel almost every play. You were in an offense where I'm sitting there going, pass, 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 up, a run, pass, pass, up, RPO, pass, pass. It was so obvious what they were going to do that, so adjusting to an NFL offense, I think actually may be good for him where he can, here, running back, you take it. I don't want to run into that crap. But I think what I don't like about him is his comments after the Nebraska game. How many times did Rayola get, pressured? We didn't have a running game. I don't like that everywhere he's been, his dad has been there to hold his hand through it all. Because when anyone's come at Shedeur in the media, who's responded? Dion. And I get it, that's your son. But what happens when he gets to the NFL and dad's not there to hold his hand through something? And he's going to have to look at a team full of other grown men without somebody standing there that was probably arguably the greatest player at his position that's got that pedigree. I'm sure Colorado players respect Shedeur because they know if they don't respect Shedeur, Dion's not going to like him.
Right.
I'm sorry. I've been around teams that have coaches' sons on them. And there's a good way to do it, and the good way to do it is when the coach can scold his son on national television. I don't think I ever saw Dion really scold Shedeur. And I get it, that's your son, but if I'm on the team, I'm like, bro, what the hell? You would scold me, why are you not scolding him? Don't treat him like he's your son. Treat him like he's your player.
Right, when you're on the football field, yes, he's your son, but you got to treat him like everybody else, and that's your football player.
He's a fine player. I question his ability to hold up in an NFL structure. But he's still going to go high and blah, blah, blah. So the Giants take him. And you know what? If the Giants take him, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Things are going to be bad for the next 5 years. So, yay. Giants fans in shambles again.
I have the Giants going Travis Hunter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think they go quarterback yet. I think they wait. I think maybe they take, if Milroe falls or if they take Ewers late, I think they wait and they run it back with Drew Lock. And wait for the next class, maybe even wait the next 2 classes for Arch. They could really tank the number 1 pick for 2 years. And
everyone's saying tank for Arch has not been paying. I want to preface this right now. Arch is playing 2 years.
Yeah, he's playing. That's what I said. Yeah, 2 years.
Because everyone's saying, oh, yeah, he's going to go next year. Tank for Arch. No. He has clearly said he is trying to be the best in the NFL. And he is clearly, he's doing this the way every quarterback, he is the blueprint. Play in college. I don't like one thing about Ward and one thing about Shedeur. Both of them, several years of starting. I think Ward's been a 3-year starter, and Shedeur's been a 4-year starter. So I like that about him. At 4 to the Patriots, I've got a shocker. They don't need Carter here. Carter's still there. Graham is still there. McMillan's still there. These are all logical places for them to go. But I think the Patriots take my number 1 tackle, who, if it wasn't for the knee injury, everyone would have him as the number 1 tackle. This would be indisputable. And that is Josh Simmons from Ohio State. He is a awesome tackle. He is awesome. He's got power. He can move second level. His pass sets are clean. He gets good depth. He punches. He doesn't grab. There's so much to like about his tape. And they need offensive line. And I think Vrabel values the trenches more than he's going to value a weapon. And I think there's some really good second-round receivers, like Ayo Manor from Stanford, Besh and Williams from TCU. You're going to have guys like Tez Johnson from Oregon. So
I don't know if Golden falls out of the first round.
He doesn't, but you're going to have some guys there at the top of the second round where hopefully, because they tried Jalen Polk last year. Didn't really work. So I think they're going to try it again at the top of the second round and try to come back and get a receiver.
Listen, I'm with you on that. I just flip that mentality. I have them going top, in the second with a lineman, and I have them going Ted McMillan at number 4.
It's fine.
Listen, I think May's their guy. They want to give May a target, big target,
very large target,
and it's a good fit. They need him.
At 5, Jacksonville. They've got Walker. They've got Allen coming off that edge, but they've got nobody on that interior that can anchor the defense. And you have a guy. This is probably my highest rated after Jalen Carter. It's probably the second best DT I've seen since other than Jalen Carter, and that is Mason Graham from Michigan. He can rush the passer. He can stop the run. He's strong. He's violent. He plays with a good pad level. I think Jacksonville takes him, and he's anchoring your defense. I could see O-line here, but it's a little bit high for a guy like Banks. And Banks, of the 3, I think, big first-round tackles, which is Banks, Campbell, and Simmons, Banks is the only one that I think has true guard flexibility. I think Campbell is definitely a tackle only, and I don't really see Simmons kicking inside.
I got Mason Graham as well to Jacksonville.
Well, you finally agree on one.
Yeah, there we go.
At 6, Raiders, again, Abdul Carter. He doesn't really fit what the Patriots do. He fits what Jacksonville does, but they've got Allen and they've got Walker, so they don't need him. You get to Oakland, and it'd be really fun to pair him with Max Crosby. What?
Vegas.
Whatever. You get him with Vegas, and it'd be really fun to pair him. That will not be the only sport I probably do that in. You pair him with Max Crosby, and you've got Christian Wilkins in the interior. That's a hell of a defensive line.
Yeah.
But you have no quarterback. You have no receivers. No running back. This could be Genty. This could be a lot of positions. The Raiders are one of the worst rosters, and they actually may be the worst roster in football because they have no quarterback. At least the Giants have Drew Lock. At least the Browns would have Jameis Winston, right? The Titans at least have a guy like Levis who's bad, but at least he's young. Aiden O'Connell's the quarterback one right now for the Raiders. It's bad. So you're the worst roster in football probably, and you're at the 6th pick. So I think you're taking BPA here, but I think they need a weapon. Ted McMillan's on the board. I think that's who they pick. The very fluid, think more fluid version of Mike Evans.
Can't argue with it. My 6th pick to the Raiders, I got them going Shedeur Sanders.
They would take him. Tom Brady would want him, but we'd all laugh. Jets at 7. The Jets, upon immediately hearing McMillan go 6, immediately going to call, hey, John, Abdul Carter, sprint. It is going to take about 10 seconds if this goes the way that I have it going. And that is Abdul Carter falling to 7, and the Jets fans explode because you're going to have Jermaine Johnston, you're going to have Will McDonald, and Abdul Carter. Boy, is that a fun pass rush.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, does he really fit what they need? Not really. But at that point, I think Aaron Glenn goes, I don't care.
Right.
get me the best player, and that's
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Carter.
with you on position, but I had Carter going early, second to the Browns, so I got them going James Pierce Jr. I know he.
Don't follow the PFF board.
I'm not going off that. I see his ADP and I see his rank, but I know that Aaron Glenn's going to want some more defensive firepower, and it was between him or Will Johnson for me, knowing DJ Reed is in need of an extension, and I have them going Pierce.
At 8, the Panthers, God, they need pass rush. They've got some guys at other positions, but they need pass rush. They can go find a receiver later. They need pass rush. And I think you're going to get the second best pass rusher in the class. And I have 7 top of the first round grades. Only 7. I usually allow for 12, so I'm about 5 short. This is the last guy on that list, and that is Mike Green from Marshall. Boys, let me tell you something. Boys and girls, let me gather around. Let me tell you something about Mike Green. I don't care if he went to Marshall, the old Thundering Herd. He is not as good as Carter, but he's about as close as you're going to get to Abdul Carter in this class as a pass rusher. And he is a very good run defender. He made a ton of plays on the backside. So then teams, what do? Run at him. He's strong. I never saw him on the ground, which was something I saw with Carter a lot. And I saw him playing with good pad level, good leverage, good length. He attacked pulling. He attacked pullers. Just, the guy can do everything. He is going to be such a fun fit for Carolina. He fits what they do. They sprint that pickup. And I think it's Mike Green.
I'm with you there. Mike Green as well.
The second everybody with this pick. I like Jawan Johnson, but I think they look at this and they say, look, we've got 2 good receivers. Our defense is kind of meh. But I think that Kellen Moore loves his tight ends. And I think they shock the world. And it's Tyler Warren from Penn State. Now, I like Warren. I've scouted him. He's top of the second round grade for me. Along with James Pierce and Kenny Grant, I'll get to Grant here in a little bit. Spoiler alert. But I think Warren's a good player. I just don't think he's as fluid or explosive as some people are saying he is. But he can block. He can go catch passes. He's a pretty good route runner. He even took snaps at quarterback and would run the read option and take it himself. So clearly he's an athlete.
Another Taysom Hill.
He's just not as... And so there you go. I mean, this would be... It fits what they do. And you're going to hear that phrase a lot. It fits what they do. I think it's Tyler Warren. I think you agree with me on this one.
I'm back-to-back. Tyler Warren as well for me.
The Bears, this is, I think, really the second logical place after Vegas for Genty. And I even think O-line's here, but I think Ben Johnson says, I can scheme O-line. I can scheme running back. I can't scheme defense. Hey, Dennis Allen, what do you want? I think Dennis Allen's going to look at the board and go, I like that guy from Michigan. So I think they go Will Johnson.
How about 3-peat? I got Will Johnson as well. Back-to-back agreements.
So, I really like what Johnson does. I think he's a great zone corner. I think his instincts are awesome.
Yeah.
Allen's a lot like Allen and Eberflus are very similar schemes in that they're not going to blitz a lot. They rely on their players to use their eyes and their instincts, and I think Johnson fits that.
Yeah. Great ball hawk.
At 11, the Niners, they need secondary help. And they're going to get a guy that's kind of a safety corner tweener in Jahdae Barron from Texas. He's a little bit high for this, but I think he fits what they want, and I like it. I think Saleh is going to like Barron.
I like the pick. I love Barron. I watched him all year.
Who are you taking here?
I got them going Josh Simmons.
Okay.
I think,
It's a hell of a pick.
I mean, it's the Niners, right?
Could you imagine?
It's the Niners. I think Josh Simmons is a perfect fit for them.
Yeah.
And something that I can 100% see them doing.
At 12, the Cowboys take 15 seconds. Everybody agree? Yep. And they sprint Ashton Genty. If he's there, he's the pick. Great. I mean, he's the second best running back I've ever seen. He is better than Bijan was coming out of Texas. Not as good as he's not as freaky as Saquon was coming out of Penn State, but very few are going to be as freaky as Saquon was coming out of Penn State. Yeah, I mean, what do you say? Balance is awesome. He can pass protect. He can go catch passes. He's fast. He has good burst. He has good vision. There is because we watched him together, and I don't even remember what I put as like that's bad. Lacks initial explosiveness, and he is more of a one-cut back. So he's not going to, cut and then cut again. He's more one cut and just go. My comp for him is Marshawn Lynch. Boy, is he just fun to watch.
He's unbelievable. And
he would inject so much life in his offense. And, Shoddy and Adams and these guys, they clearly want to run the ball.
Right.
And so I think Genty really fits what they're wanting. If they don't, look O-line, look receiver, look edge.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Corner.
Look, I'm optimistic. I'm if I have a stake in Genty, I don't think he'll be there later. Really, being real. But I'm also, if we draft Genty, I'm happy for no matter what happens the rest of the draft. Obviously, there's a lot more positions that need to be filled. But I think a guy like Genty changes the way that this team, this team's mindset, this team's ceiling. The run game has been so poor for Dallas the last few years, and even with Pollard. But it's just been so poor and lackluster, and putting so much pressure on Dak to make plays. And getting a guy like Genty, which with all the focus that he'll require, just eases the workload for Dak and the play action game, which we love to do with Dak, and it just opens up so many more possibilities, and the team just jumps from one level to really. I mean, I love the Cowboys, and I'm one of those Cowboy fans that I will never say this is our year, because it's not, and I'm aware. But I will 100% stand on, if we draft a guy like Genty, that this team is a Super Bowl contending team. And I have us drafting him, and I really, really hope if he's there that they make the right decision.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think he really he injects a ton of life into this offense.
Not to mention he's from Frisco, and he says that or he went to Lone Star, right? And he said he wants to be here. He knows the area. He has all the family and friends here, and he would love to come play here. And
look, that's who I'm hoping the pick is. But if he's not there, for me, you don't even Diggs may not even play this year, which means you have a giant hole, 2 giant holes at corner.
Yeah.
So at this point, first round, take your best player. I really am this philosophy is going to be what wins you a football game.
Listen, I'm just going to say right off the bat, we draft Genty, I'm buying the jersey immediately.
Take BPA. If Genty's your BPA, take him. If he's gone, and you've got Barron or Revel or Johnson or Simmons, God, I forgot Simmons, or take your best player. Let's get good football players in this building, because we got a lot of needs. But I also think we're a trade down spot. I don't want to pick at 12. I want to get out, but that's me.
Depends on who's there. For me, I'm with you.
I'm team trade down.
It just depends on who's there.
I'm always team trade down. 13, super logical. Don't need to explain this too much. I think Javon Holland leaves in free agency, so I think the Dolphins, Malachi Starks, move on.
I'm with you there too.
Super athletic, very rangy, basically what Holland does for him. So it is kind of a net. You're not like gaining anything, but you're fixing a hole that's going to end up being on your roster.
Yeah.
Colts are kind of a weird team. I think they could be a trade-up spot with us if they want to try to come up for somebody. But right now I'm thinking Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame. Kind of a long, rangy corner. I think he fits what they're looking for at that position.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Tyler Warren was the perfect destination for the Colts, and on my board, at least, he wasn't there.
If he falls, he's there.
So I really didn't know where to go with this, but looking at the roster, they don't need, it's crazy. They really don't need much,
right?
But I had them going Michael Williams.
The Falcons at 15. I know the position that they're going to want. I think this starts a run on edges, because of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 of my next 5 picks are edges. And this one's James Pierce from Tennessee.
Yeah.
I think they're going to prioritize pass rush over a complete player, which is why I don't think it's Mike Hill and why I don't think it's Shamar Stewart. What do you have?
I have them prioritizing, making Penix comfortable. And I know they have, Darnell Mooney and, some solid wide receiver 3 to 2 options. But I think if you make, Mooney, that wide receiver 3 option and draft Luther Burden, and he lines up all over the field. He can line up anywhere in the slot, on the outside, on the inside, wherever, right? He's very versatile. Gives Penix another target, and I think they go Burden.
Well, that's interesting. I could see it. but I think they want to upgrade that defense. They have a defensive coach.
Oh yeah, I'm with you. I just think they really want to focus, with how much unfortunate luck they've had with the quarterback play.
Yeah.
And, seeing the promise that Penix got the last few games, when he played the last few games of the regular season, and seeing that the potential that he has, I think they want to make him comfortable. And I think getting a guy like Burden, makes him even more dangerous.
I think they could. Oh, I'm sorry, big yawn there. I think they could be also a logical spot for some of the free agent receivers like Hopkins.
Yeah.
I think the 16 Cardinals, Gannon in that 3-4 scheme, they need help on the interior, whether it's nose or defensive end. So I think if you're looking at defensive end in the 3-4, Shamar Stewart fits what that is, and I think he's the pick.
I have them going Kelvin Banks. I know that their O-line.
Me and you are like, all these players are in this bunch because I'm gonna spoil this. Burden and Banks are the two guys that are like in the next two picks,
right.
But it's just like
the reason
there.
I'm basing it off of Banks, we hire Clayton Adams, right? And you look at the Cardinals O-line, and there's not that many big names, but they're so productive, right?
Yeah.
And they lose a guy like Adams, who might have a big part in what they do, and I think that they just want to draft that offensive line talent and see without Adams, they need the more help. And
especially if they lose Will Hernandez, who I would actually be in on as a Zach Martin replacement.
Yeah, sure. And I think that maybe move one guy into guard or put Banks at guard, whatever. And I think they have versatile options with Banks.
Hernandez fits what the Cowboys look at in free agency, which is veteran. They like a guy they liked in the draft, and history with the coaches.
Yeah.
Bengals at 17, they're losing one of their receivers. But that's perfect because all three of the first-round receivers after McMillan / if you want to consider Genty a receiver, there's three. And they're all three on the board for you. So I got him going Luther Burden. But, I could definitely see Igbuka or Matthew Golden. I think the UT fan here is about to take Matthew Golden for him.
No, I'm actually going Igbuka here. I do think as much as everybody wants them to bring T back, I just don't see how they can afford him and Chase. I just don't think it's physically possible.
They're going to pay Chase
unless Higgins is just willing to take a massive pay cut. But guess what?
If the Patriots offer him $32 million, which is what they might offer him, then
right. No. Patriots have the cap, might as well do it. And I just think I have them going Igbuka replacement.
I got Banks going at 18 to the Seahawks. I think they want to either improve at tackle or guard. And, of the first round offensive lineman, he's somebody that could play inside or outside. So I think that's why Banks is the pick here.
I have Shamar Stewart going there.
Okay, so we're all right here.
We're right there. Yep.
19, I think Bucks are looking at edge, and I think the most logical edge at this spot is Michael Williams from Georgia.
He was off my board, but I'm with you on the same page. Jack Sawyer.
I don't think there's a single play. We're all first-round players here.
Right.
20, Broncos. They need a guy to help out on the outside at corner. And unfortunately, the corner board has just been picked clean. Johnson's gone. Morrison's gone. But there's one guy still available. That is one of my favorite players in this draft, who I'm praying that all 31 teams besides the Cowboys don't clear his knee. That way my team can get him in the second round. That is Siobhan Rebel from East Carolina. Yeah. I love the way he plays. He plays hard 100% on every snap, including special teams with 2 field goal blocks in his college career. He's a ball hawk. He can play man. He can play zone. He fits whatever you need him to do at corner, inside, outside. Dude's just
I'm with you. I love Rebel. But the one thing for me that I noticed with the Broncos, especially
quarterback,
especially this, past season. A few years ago when they drafted Javonte Williams, there was a lot of potential there. And now they're just kind of, they're changing between 4 different running backs, between Javonte, between McLaughlin, between Estime, there was someone else, I forget his name. But there's so many guys there, and no one just really played their part in the run game to help out Nix and to help out, that really, really good O-line. I have them going Amarion Hampton here. And I think it's a fantastic fit.
Wow.
What are you looking at?
Just Twitter.
Okay.
Waiting on your Yap Fest to finish. I'm joking.
I don't know about you, but I think Hampton is just an amazing fit there.
Yeah, I could see Hampton. I have a first round grade on him, so he's definitely a possibility. But I just think they want to upgrade that no-name crush defense. Steelers, they need a receiver desperately. And they're both Golden and Igbokwe are right here on the board for him. And I think the Chargers are basically hoping that whoever they take, we're taking the other guy. So I've got Igbokwe going to the Steelers.
I got Matthew Golden.
And then I've got Golden going to the Chargers.
Yeah.
So it's 1-2 right there. I think, Harbaugh's excited to get a guy like Matthew Golden who's going to fight for every single pass. He blocks. He does the things that Harbaugh likes. And so I think she think Igbokwe's a better fit for what the Steelers do. The more the route running, and I think Golden's a better fit for what Harbaugh looks for.
I got Benjamin Morrison going to the Chargers. All my receivers are off the board. I mean, the first round receivers.
They're all off.
Yeah.
And at this point, they're all off. I have a couple more receivers going in this first round, but at this point, all of the ones are off the board.
Yeah.
23, it was kind of a weird fit for the Packers. I just don't know I don't really know what they need.
Yeah.
And so I kind of gave them, not really a BPA, but I gave them a guy that's very moldable. I gave him Walter Nolan from Ole Miss.
Okay.
Defensive tackle.
I like that.
Very powerful player.
I have them going Will Campbell. I mean, one of the guys that I had really high up on my draft going, and then he just not finding a way to fit.
So me and you both have Campbell falling here.
I have Campbell at 23 to the Packers. I think they just find a way to move people around and get Campbell outside at tackle.
They'd probably move Tom from right tackle inside. They'd
right.
probably
Tom's a big dude.
Inside.
Yeah. And I just think that's where they go.
They're all big dudes.
Yeah.
24 Vikings. This is probably going to be my mock pick for every single draft. I'm spoiling it now. It's Kenny Grant. You want to talk about fit? 3-4 nose. You're not going to find a better fit than Kenny Grant in this, at least the top of this draft right here. You're talking about a team that needs that right now. Grant fits what they do. He fits what Flores looks for at the nose tackle position. He's not Vince Wilfork-esque because I don't think he's as explosive as Wilfork was, but he's Haloti Ngata type of guy.
Yeah.
As was my comp for him. But I think he fits so perfectly for what they want.
I got them going Walter Nolan.
So same position, different player. 25 Texans. Texans, what I remember about that playoff game was C.J. Stroud running for his life because Blake Fisher just forgot how to block. So, and I think they look at the board and go, Will Campbell fell. Let's turn that card in. This is one of they sprint that card to the top and they go Will Campbell.
Totally with you, and I'm on the same. I got them going Membu, another tackle out of Missouri, and I know my cousin will be happy, who's also a Texans fan and goes to Missouri. So kind of like two, it fills two places in his heart.
There you go.
Drafting his college tackle while also being a Texans fan.
Looking at the Rams, they're going to need a receiver because Kupp's going to be gone. Puka is good, but he's had some injuries, I believe. So, right? He's had some injuries?
Yeah.
I'm second there. I'm not getting the players confused. So I think they're going to go with a guy that's very close to what Kupp and Puka both give him, and that's Jack Besh from TCU. He fits the mold for Sean McVay, outside receiver. It's a great story. His brother tragically passed away in the New Orleans terrorist attack. Tiger Besh, I believe, was his name. I don't want to get his name wrong, and then but
like the recent New Year's attack.
And so it was very unfortunate. His brother played, I think, at Princeton. I want to say. So it's very unfortunate. So he won the thing at the he won the Senior Bowl. Got caught the touchdown, and so it's a sad story, but it's great to see him, thriving and really. It was Tiger Besh. So I want to get the name right for journalistic purposes, but he really fits LA perfectly.
I got to go in Jahdae Barron. He's on the board still.
Wow, add that to fall.
Yeah, I mean, he's there for me.
Ravens, 3-4. He fits. I think Ravens. I think Jalen Walker. And I don't care if the PFF board has him at 52. He's going in the first round. I think that they take him here.
I'm with you on that. I know you see the trend of people taking, the Ravens taking linemen, tackle. And I'm following that trend because I really do think the way that they play with the ground and pound offense.
Connerly?
No, actually, I have him in my first round, but not here. I have them going Zabel out of North Dakota State.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trying to hear this song here. The Lions, they need edge. I think to help alleviate some of the stress off Hutchinson, and Jack Sawyer is just sitting there, and you want to talk about a Dan Campbell type of player? Boy, does Jack Sawyer
the Hutchinson Sawyer combo.
That's gonna be nasty.
Yeah,
you got Michigan and Ohio State. It's nasty.
I'm on the same kind of page again. Nick Gordon for me.
And I got Scourton as a late 2 on the grade. One of the best run defenders in this class.
Sawyer's off my board, so.
Scourton's one of the best run defenders in this class, but his pass rushing is just not really there. And I got Mimbu at 29 to the Commanders. Protect your Rookie of the Year, future MVP. I love Jaden Daniels. Protect him. It's going to be Mimbu from Missouri.
Siobhan Revel there for me.
Oh, not the Commanders.
Yeah.
And they quit taking players I like.
Yeah. I think it's an amazing fit.
And the Bills are stuck. I think Revel's a Bills player. Like, he's not getting past 30. The problem is that Revel's gone.
Yeah.
Morrison's gone. All of the first round potential, they're all off the board. So I had him taking Trey Amos. I haven't scouted him, so I have no idea if he's there. But
this is mock draft 1.0 for a reason.
I'm trying to look at his grade, his numbers. Okay, does this just based off that, does he fit what the Bills are looking for? And so they need a corner.
I got the Bills taking Kenneth Grant.
I see that one too. Chiefs is kind of a weird fit, but I think it's one of those. It's an Andy Reid type of draft pick where it's just he's so fun that him and Mahomes would make wonders, or do wonders for the Kansas City people, and that is Alec Ayomanor from Stanford, the gigantic receiver. If Kelsey does retire and Hopkins goes, you still have 3 great receivers, like you pointed out to me when we were talking about it, like Brady. You've got Worthy and Rice and Brown. Like, why are you taking receivers? Like, well, what happens when one of those guys gets hurt?
Right.
This is at 31, you can take insurance because you already have a good roster. Boy, Mahomes and Ayomanor would be disgustingly good. But who do you have?
Okay. I'm predicting, Kelsey retirement, and I have them going Colston Loveland here.
Such an interesting pick.
I mean, a Harold Fannin Jr., I know, and, I just think Loveland is a Kelsey type player. And I think it's just, I feel like he would just fit the scheme perfectly.
Last pick. These episodes always take a long time because of the mock.
Right.
I think the Eagles take their best player available. I think the Eagles look at the board and say, we love what Saquon gives us. But we need somebody behind, because Gainwell is a fine running back, but we need somebody behind Saquon to kind of take some of the pressure off and blah, blah, blah. I have Omarion Hampton, and that would crush us as Cowboys fans, because now, you're thinking defensive coordinator, you get that. Oh, good, they're taking Barkley out. Oh, crap, they're bringing Hampton in.
Right.
Like, you don't really drop off that much. I've got a first round on Hampton. First round running back grades I do not give out lightly. Right? So if he is that good of a football player. I think they're taking BPA here because they have no needs. Maybe a third receiver. Maybe.
Right. Even
though Dotson played pretty well in the Super Bowl. So I'm looking at this as, hey, Hampton's the best guy on our board. Michael Williams is off the board, so I don't see, and Jalen Walker, so the Georgia defensive players are off the board here for Hallie Roseman. Unless they go Nazir Stackhouse about 5 rounds too early. But we'll see. I think Hampton is going to be their best player on the board at this point, and I think it's the pick.
I'm just looking at here, like you said, there's not a lot of options. They're good everywhere, and whatever they take, can benefit them in some sort of way. I had them going Josh Connolly Jr. here, tackle out of Oregon, with Lane Johnson getting a little bit up there in age.
I could see that.
Just
insurance
securing their tackle for the for the franchise, hopefully.
Yeah.
And I think Connerly, he's there. They take him.
Well, thank you guys for listening to this little bit extended episode because the thankfully we only do 4 of these because these ones take a little bit longer. If you've stuck around, I appreciate it. I really, really do. So these episodes take a lot longer.
Yeah.
And
the more we do it, the less analysis we'll give for each player.
And we were done at like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
For everything else. And we've still took 40 minutes to do the draft thing.
Right.
Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you guys next week.
Have a good rest of your week.